Okay, so let me find out what kind of side. So, young lady over there, what part of fashion are you interested in? You. Ready to wear. Are you a designer? Okay. Lady in the blue and white, what part of fashion are you interested in? Okay, you're a designer. Okay, lady here, what part of fashion are you interested in? Couture, fantastic. Gentleman there in the gray, are you a budding fashion designer? You're creative? What side of fashion are you interested in? You're a model, fantastic. I'm glad that we have different people in the room that are interested in different aspects of fashion. And we felt that it was really important that we're able to have these sessions and engage with people so that you can hopefully get a lot of your questions answered. And I'm so excited about the people that we have on our panel because they're so diverse, but they speak to different parts of the fashion industry. And the hashtag for the day is Accelerate Fashion Talks. So guys, if you want to, post pictures, if you want to do anything on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, the hashtag is Accelerate Fashion Talks. We hope that we've been able to capture all your data. As many times as we do this, we want to be able to contact you and let you know that it's happening. And I do hope that some of you bank with Access Bank, because without Access Bank, some of this will not be possible. If you don't, I'm going to have a lovely person out there ready to take your details. What we really want to do is, seriously, we can't do this without access. And we really want you guys to also have access to some of these people and have access to these kind of sessions. What we want to do is make sure that we do this once a quarter. And obviously today, we're talking about digital. Next time, I'm not sure what we're going to be talking about. But again, we'll come back to you because now we have your information. We want this to be an interactive session where once we've done this, we're going to come back to you guys and say, what did you think? Did it work? Did it answer some of your questions? What would you like to see next time? And who would you like to see? So it's really important that we have your information. And it's important that you bank with us so that you can have access to these things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call our moderator, Mr. Tokyo James, and he's going to then introduce our panel session members, and then we're going to take it from there. So thank you, Tokyo. I'll pass the mic over to you.
Thank you. Like, she does really good for my PR. I love you so much. I actually need to pay her more money. What we're trying to do at Accelerate, and especially the fashion department, is to bridge the gap between the emerging and the establishment. I know a lot of you guys, a lot of people that are trying to get into the industry or break into the industry. Sometimes it's a buggle, like, how do I do it? What do I do? Who do I need to meet? Who do I need to talk to, and everything like that. So what we're trying to do is actually give opportunities where the establishment can actually talk to you guys and get the nitty-gritty of what things are, how it is within the industry. So we don't want to sugarcoat anything. I'm going to say sorry if any of us swear, because we're going to be as real as possible to let you guys know that, okay, this is the deal with the business. So basically what we are doing today is, our topic of discussion is the digital space. So how do you build a fashion brand within the digital space? Now, everyone has an iPhone, or everyone has a phone, and everyone is on Instagram, everyone is on WhatsApp, everyone is on some sort of social media platform. But how do you build a brand when there is so many brands out there already? How do you stand out? And that's basically what we're trying to talk about. How do you use these platforms to impact your brand in order to get visibility and ultimately sales, which is very, very important. Today we have some amazing speakers that are actually going to be speaking today. So I would love if you guys would give a round of applause for Isioma as she takes her seat. Thank you, guys. The next person on our panel is Ismoila Ali-Balogun. Now, and once again, would you please give a round of applause for Ismoila? Last but not the least, her fabulous name is Sharmaine Aderemi. So please, could we have a round of applause for Sharmaine? We're going to ask a couple of questions to our panelists. It's going to be more of a discussion. Then afterwards, we're going to ask if anyone has any questions for our panelists. Then they can just raise their hands up, and that's how we're going to go about this. So I'm going to dive straight into this. The first question goes for you, Isioma. How did you get started?
All right. No, so about 6 years ago, actually past that, I started a makeover show, about 10 years ago. And when we were doing that, I was kind of like, my eyes were open to like a lot of the Nigerian designers. So people like Lisa in their houses, Lanre da Silva. And I was like, oh, okay, these people exist and this is really cool. And then I thought, okay, but why do I need to go to your house? Or why do I need to go to this studio somewhere to come to buy your clothes? And I thought, why isn't there a store, like a multi-concept store where people can actually just go? Why not?
Exactly.
And I kept asking this question. And everyone was like, okay, they don't have money, or, there's no locations, or whatever. Anyway, fast forward to 6 years ago, and I thought, all right, I want such a place. The Palms opened up, and when I went there, they're like, oh, there's no space. You have to wait for like 8 months. And I thought, okay, no problem. And then Ikeja City Mall opened up. And literally within 4 weeks, we had Grey Velvet, just like that. But it's been an exciting journey because starting that, I got to meet like a whole bunch of designers. Obviously, I've spent 5.5 years learning this business. I tell people I don't like doing these things because I still think I'm a baby. I don't know that I know very much about fashion retail, really. So when people say you're a guru, I'm like, no, I'm not. But anyway, it's been an interesting journey, and it's literally taken us from being the concept store. We now have 3 in-house brands of our own, and I have a full-fledged manufacturing company. Again, never thought I'd ever do this, but it's literally taken us there, and it's been pretty cool.
Thank you. An amazing journey. Ismoila,
yes.
Please, do tell us, how did it start?
How I started in fashion retail.
Pretty much.
First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. You guys all look so beautiful. Thanks for coming out. It's a full house. So congratulations to Tokyo James and the team and Axis Bank overall. My background is very alternative. I started as a soldier in the U.S. Army. Prior to that, I lived in Nigeria. I went to Command Day Secondary School. Anyone? No? Okay. All right. After I worked in the military, I worked in investment banking for a few years in Wall Street. What I realized was a lot of men who looked like me, a lot of African men or black men, did not really dress the part for Wall Street, right? Which meant that there's a glass ceiling automatically placed on you because you're not looking the way you're supposed to look, right? I came into Nigeria, also in investment banking, and witnessed the same thing, but with more swag, right? Agbada was at play, right? Kaftans were at play, suits were also at play, but I also realized that people respect you based on how you look in Nigeria, right? And it happens across the continent as a whole, right? So I felt that we needed to create, or I needed to create, a kind of, circle that would celebrate men who are at the forefront of making change across the continent and dress them for the purpose to which they're about to serve, right? So we created Heritage Circle, which by itself is, I call it the supreme online destination designed for African men who want to change the world. And then secondly, we founded Agbada, which happened over the past year. And Agbada by design is a direct response to Heritage Circle. It's an acknowledgement that despite the fact that we wear our suits and tie, we must always remember that traditional wear is what matters the most. And that's what needs to be at the forefront. When you get off the plane in Washington, D.C. and you want to see the president, you've got to be in Agbada, right? And Buhari needs to get that right. So that's how I started off in fashion retail. It's been 3 years now, and I thank God for the ride. And I look forward to answering any questions you might have. Thank you.
Sharmaine.
Hi everyone, nice to meet you all and thanks for coming out. I studied fashion, but I studied the management side of things. But I was born in the UK, but I went to boarding school in Nigeria. So I think living over here for 3 years kind of opened my eyes up. Like I had a thirst for fashion. I knew what I wanted to do. I was always around like fabrics and going to markets in Lagos. I was always amazed by everything. But I always knew that I didn't want to design clothing. I was more interested in the business side of things, obviously the money side of things. So, you know, when I came back to London, I decided to study fashion management, and that covers everything from like finance to business, etc. So I actually started off in manufacturing. So I used to work for manufacturers that produced clothing for brands, designers, retailers. So I used to visit factories in China and Turkey. And then I kind of just fell into branding. I think my first role was with Calvin Klein, and I worked a lot with retailers selling lingerie and hosiery. From there, I went to go and work for Swarovski, but I worked with the loose crystals. So I supplied crystals to people that produce clothing and used Swarovski crystals. So at that time, I used to work a lot with talent and models and big brands. And then I just kind of, a role turned up where they needed someone that had the branding, manufacturing side of things, but then also someone that was used to dealing with talent, where it be models, celebrities, etc. So I started working for an agency, and then that's when my eyes opened, because it was a world where I was dealing with people like the Kardashians, but then I was also sitting down and having meetings with Karl Lagerfeld, and it was like, you know, it was a whole new world, but then I entered their world in terms of supplying and creating product for these brands. And then, yeah, I now work for Storm Models. In between the transition from my old agency to Storm, I started up my own company probably about 3 years ago. And the reason why was because I used to live here. Yes, you know, I'm Nigerian. I'm very kind of pro anything kind of Nigerian, Africa, etc. So with my own company, it's a consulting company where I try and take brands out of Africa, where it be Nigeria, Ghana, Burkina Faso, anywhere, and take them into the regions where your product will be kind of appreciated, but then also you can make more money in terms of going into different markets, going into different regions, etc. And yeah, at Storm, I work with models, I work with talent, I work with people like Stormzy, Michael Bublé, Cindy Crawford. So yeah, there's never really a dull day kind of in my life, really. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you. I'm going to be more specific now, asking individual questions to you guys. So I'm going to start off with you, Isioma. So over the years, because I know me and you have had these conversations many of times, over the years, how have you found the digital sphere, and how has it impacted your business?
Like every other business, it's impacted all of us. I remember when we started 6 years ago, literally it was a case of Instagram was actually just starting. Do you know what I mean? So in terms of advertising and selling yours, whereas, for instance, we were still using the traditional marketing methods, so we're doing the ads, you know, flyers and things like that, and then in comes Instagram, Facebook, and it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger with every year. So for instance, marketing-wise, we've cut back a lot on traditional media, to be quite honest, although it's coming back, but that's another conversation. But yes, that literally died, and social media, everything with digital media took over. Now in terms of all the other aspects and areas of the business, literally we're dealing with the digital area in every aspect of your business, to be quite honest. Yeah. Like just before I came here now, I had my suppliers send me like all the fabric swatches that I need for the week.
And that was by your phone?
By my phone. Literally, my business is WhatsApp. So I don't see him anymore. I don't have to go all the way to the markets anymore. We don't need to go to Turkey anymore. Everything we want is sent to us, and hey, you like it, you approve it, and it comes here. So to be quite honest, for everyone, I think in every industry, it's impacted all of us positively. It's cut back a lot on like time, so obviously like financial resources, obviously you're saving a whole lot more there.
Of course.
You're saving a lot on human resources, and many times now I don't need to have full-time staff per se. So for instance, now that my marketing team actually come in to the office, you don't need to, I mean, we're communicating through WhatsApp. Even WhatsApp video, like now WhatsApp video is my favorite, to be quite honest. I don't even do Skype anymore. Skype is so old. Just Skype. But yeah, so it's taken over. It's taken over. It's not just in fashion, it's in everything. It's, to be quite honest, for me, the biggest advantage is it saved us a whole load of money, and it's doing that for like I think every business.
Totally. I totally concur with that. Like that whole not having to go to Turkey. Like I think I was there 2 weeks ago and I didn't speak the language, so I had to have someone translate. I'm just like, okay, I have to pay this guy now, and we're Nigerians. I don't want to pay you. But yeah.
But you think of it in terms of the cost. So for me, everything boils down to money.
Exactly.
If I'm going to Turkey, it's a lot of money to get that air ticket. It's a lot of
400?
money for me to, like the cargo, I pay for the translator and all of that. If you I literally put everything in figures. So for me, if that's around 600K, 700K,
that you can spend.
my
here.
God, that's a collection for me. That's like 2 months worth of stock. And that's like really good money.
Exactly.
Like, no, I'm not going to do that. So it puts it in perspective for you when you're looking at it like that. And I think we all need to do that. We always have to look at the bottom line. So even though we can do some things,
Of course.
you start to think, okay, digitally, how am I able to do this so it saves me a whole lot of money? It saves me a whole lot of time.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that. Sharmaine, my love, I am going to ask you, this question is directed to you. So in the world of especially working with influencers, they say there's this popular saying, as they say, that no idea is original. Now, how important is original content in this digital age?
I mean, it's really important because you've got so many influencers and so many people that have created their career from social media. And for instance, at Storm, we have a vision board. So that board is just purely people that make money from social media, working with makeup companies, clothing companies, working with hotels where they'll fly them out there for them to take pictures and things like that. But gone are the days where brands are interested in working with influencers based on the amount of likes that you get. It's changed. So now brands are more interested in how you interact with your followers, the kind of questions they ask you, if you answer back. We had a guy once that had fake followers. I mean, we deal with people that have a following of like 2.3 million upwards. And this guy shot up from like 500 to like 1.2 million in less than like 3 days. And that's very dangerous when you work with brands, because they can pull you from that project, but then we can get in trouble because they're paying you a certain amount to market their brand and product, but then you're not marketing it to anyone because there's no one there. You have ghost followers.
Of course.
So yeah, back to your question, I think you need to be original because there's so many people out there that are trying to get into that kind of social media space. And the advice I always give to people is, if you have an idea, whether it be small, big, silly, go for it. Because with social media, what draws you in is the way you're interacting. People are very interested in your day-to-day life. They're not just the talent that we represent. They're not just interested in, I don't know, maybe someone like Lorraine Pascal, who I represent. She's a celebrity chef. And we look at the stats. So when you're on Instagram, if you have a business account, which is free, by the way, so with a business account, it shows you the percentage of followers that you have, how many people that have visited your page, the percentage of like 18 to 25-year-olds, what regions they're in. So we always keep a tab. Yeah, we look at that information. And looking at Lorraine Pascal's stats, it was crazy because she's a celebrity chef, so obviously she's going to take pictures of food.
Yeah.
So yeah, she would probably get like 3,000 likes, 5,000 likes for like a bowl of, I don't know, quinola or a nice bit of rice and lamb on the side. But then when she started posting pictures of her personal life, as in if she was going to an event, she'd take a picture of her outfit, or she was at the hairdresser's, the numbers just shot up.
Okay.
So if you're an influencer and maybe you're on social media for beauty, always remember that people aren't just interested in that field. They want to know a bit about your backstory. You know, outside of makeup, what else do you like doing? You know, do you do makeup for people based on what they wear? You know, what's your interest in terms of colors and things like that? So yeah, you need to be original. With social media, you need to think outside of the box, because I mean, Instagram has grown in how many years? And there's so many businesses that are just on Instagram, and these people are turning over a high amount of money.
Talking about that, just to ask another question to you. So I've always had that mind, like, okay, you have 2 million followers, but you have 1,000 likes. How does that translate? Like, so are those automatically fake followers,
Yeah.
or like, and you have 2 million followers and you have 50 comments? I'm like, how does the stats?
So that's how we would know, and how a brand would know. You've got 2 million followers, but only 50 people like you. That means the
Impossible.
rest of those followers are dead, and as in they don't exist. They're just kind of, they're invisible. So and the thing is, as an influencer, just because you're not working with a brand, don't ever think that brand is not following you on Insta. They won't follow you,
But they'll watch it.
but they'll watch you. Because I've gone into meetings and I'm talking about one talent, and they're like, oh, no, Sharmaine, forget about her. We want to talk about so-and-so. And I'm thinking, how do you know about that person?
Okay.
And that's because sometimes they look at the comments, and maybe you're a talent that you don't have the time to answer every question. And someone said to you, oh, I like those trousers. Where did you get them from? Oh, I brought them, but they're too long. What size are you? That, if you don't answer that question, that's a sale gone for that brand.
Of course.
So yeah, ghost. It's not hard to notice ghost followers. I mean, I've met talent. They're like, oh, sign me. I've got like 3 million followers, and I've gone on their social media, and they've got like about 20 likes. So yeah, just make it natural. Let it just come natural to you, because if you buy the followers, you're not really going to know who your consumer is.
Of course.
You're not really going to know the kind of people that are interested in you. And gone are the days that Instagram are actually, or brands are interested in likes. It doesn't matter. You can have like 20 million likes on one photo. They don't really, they're not fazed by it anymore.
Okay. The last question, one question again I wanted to ask you is, so aesthetics. How you curate those pictures, and because a lot of people might not have the means to take those most beautiful imagery and all of those type of stuff. But what are the few tips across board actually, especially with you, few tips that you feel that can help people curate that actually, because we know that, as I'm a strong believer of, we live in a visual age, so everything, as you said, must be pretty. So if it's not pretty, I'm just like, I seem not to understand it.
But that's wrong though, because that would mean that you're trying to tell people that life is perfect, whereas it's not. Like with models, they get, thousands of likes for them standing up in a bikini at a photo shoot, but then they'll get millions of likes just them waking up with no makeup on, because the girl following her, she's sitting at home thinking, oh my God, she looks perfect all the time. Why don't I look like that?
Okay.
Then the one morning that model wakes up and she's, pale face, bags under her eyes, hair everywhere. You're like, okay.
I can relate.
Social media doesn't have to be perfect.
Okay.
Nobody's life
is perfect.
Is perfect. Yeah, you do have the odd Instagram account that you look at it and you think, Jesus Christ, like
I want to be you.
Yeah, like does she eat? Like that kind of thing. Like what does she do? I had a meeting with Instagram a couple of months ago, and there's 2 big accounts on social media that they always use as a reference if you want to know how to work Instagram. So there's Hermes, is a really good account. They interact with their followers. They post a lot of images about their leather and where it's sourced from. And then also the makeup brand and skincare brand Glossier, because that lady started from nothing. She just started gifting influencers.
What's the name of the brand?
Glossier.
For people
It's Glossier. So she's based in America. But if you look under every image, you'll probably see about 2,500 comments. And that's them answering you. Oh, I have oily skin. What should I use? Seconds, people answer back. And Instagram have picked up on that. So for such a big organization, out of all of the billions of followers that they have, they've picked those 2 accounts. So a bit of advice to anyone in here, follow them, see what they're doing, speak to people. Don't have that kind of Nigerian mentality that, why is that person asking me that question, Joe? Or mind your business kind of thing. No, you need to talk to everyone.
It depends. There's a lot with Instagram, I think, relating to fashion. It's very different from a model waking up in the morning and she looks tousled. If you have a bad-looking dress on Instagram, like I can't stand, you go on Instagram and you see these blurry images. I'm like, who do you think is buying this dress?
Of course.
First of all, I can't see it. It looks ragged. It's telling me your product is rubbish. Yeah. So in as much as it's a picture, because people just feel the need to put a picture up, you don't just put a picture up. If you're in fashion, it better be a pretty picture. It cannot be an ugly picture. It cannot be a blurry picture. Now, yes, we don't have to go to the rooftops of Kilimanjaro. No, you don't have to do that. You don't have to go and dig up a pool, just have one of those altar pictures. Not really, okay? You can literally, it depends, like I tell people, it's very funny, hang up a dress like on your wardrobe. But let it be pretty. I can't stand the fact that, for instance, beside that wardrobe shall be one dirty dustbin. Not really. So that there are little things, things like that. The one plate of rice under the skirt. I don't know who do you want to buy.
Right,
because literally, I know about people like me, and a lot of people do that. That's what they're looking at, like rice. Yep. How? I can't buy this skirt, and who is this designer? So it pretty much depends on what your image is, what you want to put out. You have to define that first. And it has to be all about you. Everything you put out has to be like what you represent, what your brand represents. So is your brand clean? Is your brand, do you have good quality clothes? Mm-hmm. You're literally telling your customer, okay, this is what I am, this is who I am. So anytime you're putting out those dodgy images, or you're just like, okay, let me just put something out there, that's a message you're sending people. Now you're talking about responding to people. Again, that's customer care. Some people don't realize that customer care is a whole lot.
Very important.
I still run customer care for my business. It doesn't matter. I have over, 75 people. It is my number on Instagram because I don't take the chance of having one of them literally have a client call and they just talk rubbish. I cannot have that. I'm not comfortable yet. I think it's really bad, to be honest. Maybe I have problems. I need to fix that. But no, I'm very, very particular about the fact that I need to keep my customers. I don't want to lose anybody to bad customer service. So if somebody does ask a question, by all means, you need to be checking. Like we check literally every hour. You have to check every hour, like who sent a comment, who wants an order. Like for us, it's very funny. We don't have that many likes, but for as many likes that we don't get, we're getting the phone calls, which is really weird. Like we still just don't even understand this. We'll be like, guys, just place the order. Yeah, go to the website. No, they call. So we literally have a full-fledged service. These calls are routed to people, like about 10 people who are like, okay, you want this, madam? And we're like, okay, but it's there, But anyway, you know what I mean? But it's very important that when they want something, anything, the littlest thing, that you're fighting tooth and nail to keep that customer. Because once you've lost them, for me, if I lose one, I'm thinking I've lost 100. Yeah. And that is major.
Which is understandable. So basically, this is actually from two different perspectives now. So Sharmaine, who comes from the influencer background, is like, you know what, pretty is good, but being real is also good, which is really important. That is not always about being so perfect. And which I identify more with I call her Auntie Isioma, is pretty because of the clothes, because you want to put your best foot forward, especially how you're selling that product to your customers. So as a brand, basically, I'm presuming that, as you rightly said, that you need to know what your aesthetic is. So, and that aesthetic will speak to whichever audience. You slowly start cultivating those followers.
You do. And then they start to recognize and understand that that is what you are and that's what you stand for. So like with us, we spend a fortune every month, but then again, that comes down to marketing, and all of you need to make sure you have a marketing budget, because I tell people, if you want to sell things with any business, Coca-Cola, the first marketing lesson I ever had, Coca-Cola is like, all right, my lecturer comes in and says, if Coca-Cola is still advertising today, who the heck do you think you are? So it doesn't matter how wonderful you think your business is. Bottom line, there's always somebody right next to you who's going to take that business from you.
Of course.
So we literally have a huge marketing budget, which is horrible, and we spend quite a fortune on these photographs. So like once or twice, we shoot twice a month, so we're doing the product images, and we're doing some of we do the campaigns like every other month.
That is, before I let you go further, that's actually another question, so I'm going to stop you there quickly.
My name is Oscar. You don't enter Ninja Matrix. If you press this button, you go subscribe. If you press this button, you go watch another video. Which one you want to do?